Nepal. They call it the abode of the gods, a kingdom carved from the spine of the Himalayas. For centuries, it was a fortress of honor, a place where the air was thin but the spirit was strong. But time is a cruel architect. In the last few decades, the foundation has cracked. Mismanagement, greed, corruption flowing down from the halls of power like a mudslide, burying the good earth beneath it. It rots the soul of a society that deserves so much better. And yet, look at them, the people. They smile through the dust. They offer you tea when they have nothing left to give. It is a land of such blinding beauty that it makes the ugliness of the men ruling it even harder to bear. But beauty doesn't pay the bills, and it doesn't stop the rot. It just hides it. And nowhere are the shadows longer than in the capital. Kathmandu doesn't sleep, it just changes customers. By day, it belongs to the hikers and the monks. By night, it belongs to the cartels. Detective Rana stood in a dark alleyway in Thamel. The rain was coming down like lead, soaking through his jacket. His team had a fix on a supplier, a man moving yaba tablets, madness in a pill, destined for the schoolyards of the valley. Rana had the door in his sights. His boot was ready to kick it down. He could taste the dust. He could smell the fear. And then his phone rang. It wasn't his wife, it was the chief. "Rana," the voice said, calm, too calm. "Stand down. Get back to HQ. Department 42 business." Rana looked at the rotting wood of the door. He looked at the poison waiting behind it. Department 42. The diplomatic squad. The cleanup crew for foreign messes. "Chief," Rana shouted into the receiver, "I have the target." "Not anymore," the chief replied. "Priorities, Rana. Move." Rana lowered his weapon. He left the dealer. He left the poison on the street, and he drove back in the rain. The chief's office smelled of old tea and compromise. He didn't look up when Rana entered. He just slid a manila file across the desk. "Embassy complaint," the chief said. "Pakistan." Rana opened it. A photo of a man stared back. Mid-50s, soft face, receding hairline. Name? Muhammad Habib Zahir. "Missing person," the chief muttered. "Last seen 24 hours ago. The embassy is frantic. Find him." Rana flipped the page. He scanned the entry visa. "A tourist?" Rana asked. "So they say," the chief replied. The chief didn't offer more. He just lit a cigarette. "Find him, Rana, before the press does." Rana took the file, because in Department 42, they didn't ask why. They just asked where. The Radisson Hotel sat like a fortress of glass in the middle of the dust. Rana walked through the revolving doors. The air conditioning hit him first. Cold, artificial. It was supposed to be a sanctuary, but to Rana, it felt like a stage set. He felt eyes on him, not the concierge, not the guests, something else, a pressure on the back of his neck, like the walls were breathing, like the mirrors were watching. And then, the spectacle. A wedding party spilling out of the ballroom, silk saris, gold jewelry flashing under the chandeliers, laughter that sounded expensive. Through the glass doors, Rana watched a white van idling in the driveway. Pristine condition. Stickers on the side. Everest wedding florals. A driver in a crisp uniform was unloading crate after crate of imported orchids. Rana shook his head. The country was bleeding. The rupee was in the gutter. Families were starving in the hills. But here? Here they were burning money on flowers that would be dead by morning. Priorities. Room 402. Zahir's room. Rana stepped inside. He expected chaos, a struggle, a hastily packed bag. Instead, silence. The bed was made with military precision, not a wrinkle. The toiletries were aligned by height. No receipts on the nightstand. No brochures for the temples. Rana opened the closet. The suitcase was there. He ran his hands along the lining. He felt the lump. Jackpot. Currencies. US dollars, Nepali rupees, Omani rials. He pulled out a stack of papers, an offer letter for a corporate job, flight tickets, and then a single sheet of cream-colored paper, folded twice, tucked away like a secret. Rana unfolded it. He saw the official seal at the top. He saw the signature at the bottom. His eyes went wide. The air in the room suddenly felt very thin. He traced the embossed stamp with his thumb. This wasn't a tourist visa. This wasn't a job offer. This was a death warrant, or an invitation to war. Rana stared at the name on the paper. The shock in his eyes faded, replaced by a cold, knowing smile. "Well, well, Mr. Zahir," Rana whispered to the empty room. "You aren't just a lost tourist." He folded the paper and slipped it into his jacket. "You're the White Rabbit, and this hole goes down forever." Downstairs, the manager was waiting. A small man in a suit that cost more than Rana's annual salary. Rana didn't waste time. He leaned against the polished mahogany desk. "I need the surveillance logs for April 6th, Rana said calmly. "Lobby and elevators." The manager was sweating, wiping his forehead with a silk handkerchief, but his eyes held a sneer. "Surveillance tapes?" he scoffed, looking Rana up and down. "This is the Radisson, detective, not a street stall. You want to see our guests, you bring a warrant." Rana lit his cigarette. He didn't offer one. He blew the smoke towards the ceiling sprinklers. "A warrant?" Rana repeated, softly. "I can get a warrant. It will take maybe 2 hours." He leaned in. "And then I will have to spend a month here, investigating. I'll have to interview every guest. I'll have to ask about the politicians on the 3rd floor. I'll have to look into the independent contractors visiting the suites at midnight. And the drugs, of course. I'd hate to find something illegal in the kitchen." The manager didn't ask for the warrant again. He just handed over the keys to the security room. Rana sat in the dark. The blue light of the monitors washed over his face. April 6th. The lobby. He watched Zahir walk in. He looked tired, disoriented. But he wasn't alone. Rana leaned closer to the screen. There, a man in a blue shirt, ostensibly reading a newspaper by the concierge desk. He doesn't turn the page. Not once in 10 minutes. As Zahir enters, Blue Shirt takes a single step to the left. Subtle. Just enough to block the direct path to the elevators. It forces Zahir to veer right, towards the fountain. And there, another man, leaning against the marble pillar. He checks his watch. He nods. Rana switched camera angles. Camera 4, exterior driveway, He wanted to see who Zahir was meeting outside, but the screen was blocked. A massive white van. Everest Wedding Florals. It pulled up exactly as Zahir stepped out. "Are you kidding me?" Rana muttered. The van parked right in the blind spot of camera 4. For 30 seconds, Zahir was invisible, hidden behind a wall of white metal and cheap stickers. Rana slammed his hand on the desk. "Bloody weddings," he hissed. "Even the flowers are conspiring against me." When the van finally pulled away, Rana blinked. The driveway was empty. Zahir was standing there, alone. He was nodding. He was making gestures of agreement. But there was nobody there. "Who are you talking to, my friend?" These men in the lobby, they weren't guests. They moved like a pack of wolves, cutting off the exits, creating shadows where there should be light. It was a dance, choreographed, professional. Rana had seen this before, in Dubai. The Mossad hit, block the target, blind the cameras, guide the target. Zahir didn't disappear. He was herded. Rana slammed his fist on the desk. This wasn't a missing person. This was an extraction. Department 42's interrogation room was designed to make men feel small. Concrete walls, one table, 2 chairs, and a mirror that only looked one way. Rana sat on the edge of the table. He watched the man sitting opposite him, Mr. Malik, an attaché from the Pakistani embassy. He was dressed in a suit that was too sharp for a police station. He tapped a gold fountain pen against the metal table. A nervous tick, or a demand for attention. "Detective," Malik said, sharp, irritated. "I have been waiting for 20 minutes. My government demands an update on our citizen." He leaned forward. "Mr. Zahir is an innocent tourist, a businessman, and your department is treating this like a clerical error." Rana didn't answer immediately. He picked up a folder. He played the role perfectly. The overworked, ignorant local cop. "We are doing everything we can, Mr. Malik," Rana said slowly. "But you know Kathmandu. It is a dangerous place." Rana slid 3 photographs across the steel table. Grainy CCTV stills from the hotel lobby. The men who herded Zahir. "We suspect the drug cartels," Rana lied, smooth as silk. "They target tourists, mules. Sometimes deals go bad." Malik looked at the photos. He didn't blink. He swatted them away. "Drugs?" the official scoffed. "Mr. Zahir is a man of honor. This is absurd." "Is it?" Rana asked. He reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out the cream-colored document he had found in room 402. The silence in the room grew heavy. Rana dropped the file on the table. "Then explain this." Malik stared at the paper. He saw the seal. He saw the signature. His face went pale. The arrogance evaporated, replaced by a cold, hard fear. "It is standard policy," Malik stammered, his voice tighter now, "for former army personnel to get a no-objection certificate before traveling." Rana leaned close. He lowered his voice to a growl. "I know what an NOC is, Malik. I served in the UN." Rana tapped the seal with his finger. "But this is signed by the Inter-Services Intelligence. Since when does the ISI sign travel papers for a tourist looking to sell corn syrup? Rana didn't wait for an answer. He opened the file wider. I found his bag in room 402. It was clean. Too clean. But he kept the important things close. Currencies from 3 countries and a job offer from a UK firm, Strategic Solutions. Rana picked up the offer letter, weighing it in his hand. $8,500 a month, plus business class travel. To work in Nepal? In sales? Rana slammed the letter onto the table. Who pays $8,000 for a middle manager in Kathmandu? The Prime Minister doesn't make that much. What is Strategic Solutions, Malik? Because from where I'm sitting, it sounds like a ghost story. And a man with this clearance level, he doesn't need to hunt for work. The work hunts him. So what are you guys playing at? Is he here to build a factory? Or is he here to burn something down? The official stood up. He paced the small room. He looked at the mirror, wondering who was watching. He served, Malik whispered. He is a patriot, but he is retired. He turned back to Rana, desperate now. The offer is legitimate. Strategic Solutions is a reputable firm. He came for the interview. Rana watched him unravel. It is business, Malik insisted. Strictly business. Rana took back the document. He put it away. He didn't care about the job. He didn't care about the politics. He had what he needed. The cartel theory was dead. The missing tourist story was dead. Rana looked at the sweating diplomat. "Sit down, Malik," Rana said. "This isn't about drugs anymore. It's war." The tech lab was buried in the basement of HQ. No windows. Just the hum of the servers and the smell of stale coffee. To the untrained eye, it looked like a storage closet. But looks were deceiving. Since the humiliation of the Indian Airlines hijacking in 1999, Department 42 had quietly built a fortress. While the politicians argued upstairs, down here they invested in eyes. 3,000 high-definition cameras, LiDAR scanners mapping the diplomatic enclave, thermal sensors ringing the airport. Nothing moved in Kathmandu without leaving a ghost in this machine. And no one could escape Rana's eyes. Rana sat inside his fortress of screens, 4 monitors glowing in the dark, casting a blue pallor over his face. He wasn't looking for faces, he was looking for a pattern. He queued up the footage from Kathmandu airport, April 6th, the day Zahir arrived. Monitor 1, Rana whispered. 9 a.m., the arrival curb. Zahir steps out of the terminal. He stops. He looks around, waiting for a signal. And then, a vehicle pulls up. A white Toyota van. Courier delivery. It stops right in front of Zahir. "Not again," Rana hissed. Just like at the hotel, the van blocked the camera's line of sight perfectly. For 20 seconds, Zahir was a ghost. Rana couldn't see who he was talking to. He couldn't see the handoff. He slammed the mouse down. "What is it with this city?" he muttered. "Why is there always a van blocking my view?" Rana switched to monitor 2. April 7th, the next morning, the day Zahir disappeared. Same location, same camera angle. A van returns. Different license plate, different skin. Now it has a red stripe, a blue light bar. Airport medical services. An ambulance. Rana leaned back. "Another van," he whispered. "White vans everywhere." He looked at the ambulance. Then he looked at the delivery van on monitor 1. Then he pulled up the hotel footage on monitor 3. The wedding florist. 3 different vans, 3 different jobs. But something about the posture was the same. "Let's zoom in," Rana muttered. He focused on the rear left tire of the ambulance. "Mudguard is loose," Rana observed, vibrating at high idle. He switched to the delivery van. Loose mudguard. He switched to the wedding van. Loose mudguard. Rana's heart beat faster. He moved the cursor to the driver's side door handle. "There," he pointed. A distinctive scratch, shaped like a Z. He checked all 3 feeds. The Z was there, on the delivery van, on the wedding van, on the ambulance. Rana sat back in his chair. The old song on the radio swelled to a crescendo. "It's the same van," he whispered. "1 vehicle, 3 skins, delivery, wedding, ambulance." "Genius," Rana muttered. "An ambulance. You don't stop an ambulance at a checkpoint. You don't search an ambulance for contraband. You wave it through. You give it the right of way." "Paint it white," Rana said to the empty room. "Slap a red cross on the side. And you can drive a nuclear bomb through the heart of Kathmandu." Zahir wasn't smuggled out in a trunk. He was driven out with a siren wailing. And the police probably saluted as he passed. The van was the transport, but the website was the lure. Rana minimized the CCTV feeds. He opened the terminal. He typed in the URL from the offer letter, www.stratsolutions.biz. 404 not found. Rana wasn't surprised. "Standard procedure," he muttered. "Burn the bridge after the target crosses it." He pulled up the cached archives, the digital ghosts. The site popped up on the screen. Strategic Solutions. It looked professional. Clean lines, blue and white palette. But to a forensic eye, it was a hollow shell. "Look at the source code," Rana whispered. "Standard bootstrap template. Free version." He scrolled through the R Team page. Stock photos. That CEO is a model from a dental insurance ad in Ohio. The London office address points to a mailbox rental in Kensington. He checked the server logs. Domain registered February 2017. Hosted on a proxy server. And the kill switch? Rana traced the timestamp. Server wiped at 2100 hours on April 6th. Exactly 8 hours after Zahir landed. They didn't just delete the site, they formatted the drive. It wasn't a business, it was a digital bear trap. Rana turned away from the screen. He pinned the printed emails to the whiteboard. Correspondence between Zahir and the recruiter, Mark Thompson. Rana circled the name in red marker. "Mark Thompson," Rana said, tasting the name. Generic, forgettable. The John Smith of espionage. He read the text aloud. "We require you to acclimate to the local environment." Rana circled the word acclimate. Acclimate, US spelling, no S. He moved to the next line. "Please revert with your coordinates." "Revert?" Rana scoffed. "That's not Queen's English. That's corporate dialect, subcontinental phrasing." He circled the ampersands. In paragraph 1, he types "and." In paragraph 2, he uses the symbol "at." Inconsistent. Rana capped the marker. This wasn't written by a headhunter in Mayfair. It wasn't even written by a native speaker. It was written by a coder, someone used to writing scripts, not sentences. Sloppy. They got arrogant. Rana looked at the final document, the offer letter. Vice President. Salary, $8,500 per month. He tapped the figure with his pen. The golden carrot. To a banker in London, this is nothing. But to a retired soldier in Punjab, trying to support a family on a pension, this is a fortune. This is validation. They profiled him, Rana realized. They knew he felt undervalued. They knew he needed money. They didn't use a honeypot. No women, no blackmail. They used his own ambition against him. Rana pinned the offer letter next to the fake website. They bought a lieutenant colonel for the price of a mid-level manager. Cheap, Rana whispered. Terrifyingly cheap. But as the smoke from his cigarette curled into the light, a doubt crept in. A splinter in the mind. Rana looked back at the ISI NOC, the official seal. Why clear him? Rana asked the empty room. If he was just a retired soldier looking for a paycheck, why did the intelligence service sign off on it? Why let a man with his secrets fly to a neutral zone? Unless... Rana walked to the map on the wall. He traced the border. Unless the job wasn't the trap. Unless the job was the cover. Maybe the ISI sent him here, undercover, to run an operation in Kathmandu. And the enemy, whoever built this website, they didn't just lure a civilian. They intercepted an agent. Or maybe it's colder than that. A clearance this high, and he walks into a trap this obvious? Maybe his own people sold him out. Maybe he was a loose end. Rana looked at the photo of Zahir. Who trapped whom, Colonel? Did you walk into a cage? Or were you pushed? Rana rubbed his temples. The headache was back. Kidnapping, extraction, defection, betrayal. In the grey zone, they all look exactly the same. There were no flights. The monsoon had grounded everything out of Tribhuvan Airport. So Rana took the road, the Prithvi Highway, a snake of asphalt winding down from the mountains to the plains. 8 hours of darkness, 8 hours of hairpin turns and precipices. Lumbini, the birthplace of the Buddha, the sanctuary of peace, and situated exactly 5 kilometers from the Indian border. Rana gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. Why Lumbini, Colonel? Why did you fly there? Rana played the first theory in his head, the active agent theory. Evidence, the NOC, the clean hotel room, the military bearing. Maybe Zahir wasn't a victim. Maybe he was on a mission. The kidnapping story from the embassy could be a smokescreen, a cover for an exfiltration. Maybe he was heading to the border to meet an asset, to pass intel, to coordinate an attack. Is that it? Rana whispered to the windshield. Are you invading my country to launch a war on your neighbor? Rana shook his head. It didn't fit. Evidence, the van, the website, the sheer cost of the lure. You don't build a fake company and hire actors just to receive a defector. You do that to catch someone. The strategic solutions trap was too perfect, too elaborate. This smelled of R&AW, the research and analysis wing. Offensive defense, that was their new doctrine. If you can't catch the enemy at home, snatch him abroad. Maybe Zahir was the prey, lured to the edge of the sanctuary just to be dragged across the line. Or maybe it was both. Evidence, the vulnerability, the need for money. Maybe Zahir thought he was working for the ISI, but the people paying him were Indian intelligence. A double blind, a mirror maze. Who is playing who? Rana hissed.
Control to Rana, come in.
Go ahead.
We traced the VoIP number for Mark Thompson. It's dead, sir. Signal originated from a server farm in Eastern Europe, but the payment trail, it vanishes. And the website? The domain registrar is a shell company in Panama. It's a ghost town, detective. There's nobody home.
Ghosts, Rana spat. Ghosts with unlimited budgets. He looked out at the dark hills of Nepal passing by. This was his land, the land of the Gurkhas who never bowed to an empire. The only Hindu kingdom the world has ever known. A place where Shiva dwells in the icy peaks of Kailash, and ancient temples have stood watch since before these foreign nations were even drawn on a map. A kingdom built on honor, where a guest is treated like a god. And now, it was a playground. A chessboard for foreign spies. Pakistanis running agents in the hotels. Indians running snatch teams in the vans. Americans watching from the satellites. They treated Nepal like a grey zone. A lawless buffer where they could settle their blood feuds without dirtying their own soil. Rana shifted gears. He pressed the accelerator to the floor. He didn't care if Zahir was a spy or a victim anymore. He didn't care if it was the ISI or R&AW. He was a Nepali police officer, and nobody turns his country into a crime scene. Lumbini, Rana whispered. The border was 5 kilometers away. If Zahir was in that ambulance, he was heading for the line. And once he crossed that line, once he entered India, he was gone. No jurisdiction, no warrant, no return. Hold on, Colonel, Rana growled. I'm coming for you. Rana slammed the door of his jeep. He had made it. The Sonali border. He stood there, hand on his holster, ready for a standoff. Ready for barbed wire. Ready for a checkpoint. But there was no checkpoint. There was only chaos. A river of humanity flowing in both directions. Thousands of trucks lined up like sleeping elephants. Rickshaws weaving through the gaps. Women carrying baskets of vegetables on their heads. It wasn't a border. It was a bazaar. Rana looked at the zero line, a painted stripe on the dusty road that separated two sovereign nations. A stray dog was sleeping right on top of it. He watched a grandmother walk across into India to buy medicine. He watched a laborer walk back into Nepal to buy rice. If you tried to put a fence here, if you tried to demand passports, these people wouldn't riot. They would laugh at you. For 5,000 years, this land had no lines. Families live on one side, work on the other. They share blood, gods, and festivals. To them, a border is just a politician's fantasy. This flow, this chaos, is the only reality they know. But for a detective hunting a ghost, it was a nightmare. Rana walked forward. He crossed the line. One step, Nepal. Next step, India. No alarms, no questions. To his left, a Nepali border guard was sitting on a plastic chair, watching a dance reel on his phone. To his right, an Indian soldier was eating his lunch from a tiffin carrier, swatting away flies. Neither of them looked up. Rana stood in the middle of the road, hands on his hips. He spun around. A sea of faces, a million moving parts. Where do I even look? He whispered. The ambulance could be anywhere. It could be parked behind that truck. It could be 10 miles down the highway to Gorakhpur. It was hilarious. It was terrifying. The most dangerous man in the region had just vanished into a crowd of grandmothers and fruit sellers. And the guards were too busy watching TikTok to notice. Rana needed to think. Or maybe he just needed to stop moving. He found a tea stall on the Indian side of the line, a small shack with a blue tarpaulin roof. He sat on a plastic stool. He blended in perfectly. To the shopkeeper, he was just another tired traveler with dust on his boots. "Chai," Rana said. "Adrak, strong ginger. And a cigarette. Surya red." He sipped the tea. It was sweet. Too sweet. He looked back towards Nepal. 5 kilometers away was Lumbini. Peace. Here, chaos. And somewhere in between, a man had vanished. Rana felt the weight of his gun in his holster. Useless here. If he drew it, he would cause an international incident. His hand drifted to his phone. He knew people on this side. Good men in the Indian police service. Friends from the academy who respected him. One call, and he could have a roadblock set up in 10 minutes. But he hesitated. Department 42 operated in the shadows. If he made this official, if he dragged his friends into this geopolitical mess, the fallout would be catastrophic. His superiors in Kathmandu would bury him before the sun came up. He withdrew his hand from his pocket. He was a tiger in a cage, powerless. A van pulled up right in front of the stall. White, Toyota. But the stickers were new. Gorakhpur Medical Supplies. Rana froze. His hand hovered over his glass. He knew that shape. He knew that mudguard. That sound. It was the same van. The chameleon. A man stepped out. Clean-shaven, sharp eyes, wearing a crisp white shirt. He didn't look like a driver. He moved like a soldier. He walked into the tea shop, 2 feet away from Rana. He didn't look at the detective. He looked at the shopkeeper. "Matchbox," the man said. His voice was soft, polished, very Indian. The shopkeeper was busy with the milk. Rana didn't think. He just acted. He pulled his own lighter from his pocket. "Here," Rana said. He held the flame out. The man turned. He leaned in to light his cigarette. For 3 seconds, their faces were inches apart. The flame illuminated the man's eyes. Cold, dead, calculating. Rana memorized every line, every scar. This was Javed, the handler, the ghost from the hotel lobby. "Shukriya, shukriya," the man said. "Thank you." He turned to leave. He took 2 steps towards the van, And then he stopped. He turned back. He looked right at Rana. He didn't look at the gun. He looked at Rana's eyes. And then he nodded. A small, barely perceptible nod. Rana sat there, frozen. He watched the van disappear into the dust of India. Zahir was in there, maybe bound, maybe drugged, maybe sitting comfortably in the passenger seat. Rana could have opened that door. He could have ended it, but he didn't. Because in the grey zone, the only rule is that there are no rules. Just lines in the dust that good men are afraid to cross. Rana finished his tea. He left a 50-rupee note on the table. He stood up and walked back towards the border, past the guards scrolling on their phones, past the sleeping dog on the zero line, back to his jurisdiction. But as the rain washed the dust from his face, the defeat faded, replaced by something colder. This wasn't the end. This was the opening move. Zahir was gone, but the game board remained. Case closed? Rana whispered to the rain. He shook his head. No. The Nepal files have just been opened. And Rana will be back.